Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down the actions of the Islamic prayer, or Salah. We're talking about every single step, from the physical movements to what you're actually saying, all the way from the very beginning to the very end.
Okay, so before we even get into how you move, we've got to talk about something way more fundamental, your internal state. I mean, this isn't just a physical routine, right? It's all about your mindset. The entire prayer is really built on this idea of humility.
So that brings us right to our first section, the essence of the prayer itself. Before you make a single move, the groundwork is all internal. It's really about getting your heart and mind ready for what's basically a sacred conversation.
And this idea is captured perfectly in the concept of khushu. It's the state of, serene concentration and humility before God. And the sources actually point out something really practical. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would keep his gaze fixed on the exact spot where he would prostrate. So it's a physical action that really helps you achieve that internal focus, cutting out all the distractions.
All right, so once that internal state is set, let's move on to the very first actions that kick off the prayer. This is that moment, that clear dividing line where you consciously leave the world behind and enter a state that's all about worship.
So you start with what's called the opening takbir. And that first Allahu Akbar is so important. It's called the takbirat al-ihram, which kind of means the takbir that makes everything else forbidden. In fact, the source material is super clear. God doesn't accept a prayer without it. You can think of it like the key that unlocks the door to the prayer itself.
Okay, so after that opening takbir, you'll see a slight difference in how the hands are placed. For men, the right hand goes over the left wrist below the navel. For women, it's the right hand over the left, but on the chest. And the source actually mentions that the position for women is seen as more concealing, which really points to an underlying principle of modesty built right into the posture of the prayer. And once your hands are in place, there's this really beautiful, brief supplication that's recited silently. It's done just once, right at the start of the whole prayer. Think of it as your own personal opening, a moment of praise before you get into the main recitation.
All right, now let's get into the verbal core of the prayer, the recitation. This part is really the heart of it, and what's interesting is that the rules change a bit depending on your role. Are you leading the prayer? Are you a follower? Or are you praying alone? It all makes a difference.
So check this out. What's really fascinating here is the role of the follower, the ma'mum. The source points to a direct instruction from the Quran. When it's being recited, you should listen and pay attention. So for a follower, listening isn't just passive. It's actually an active, conscious part of the worship.
Okay, so from that standing recitation, the prayer just flows right into these core physical movements of humility, bowing and prostrating. These actions, they're not just random motions. They are the physical expression of everything you are just reciting, that feeling of submission and reverence.
And when it comes to bowing or ruku, posture is everything. It's not just a matter of bending over. The source gives this amazing visual. The Prophet's back was so straight you could have balanced a cup of water on it. I mean, what an image, right? It perfectly captures the kind of precision and stillness that this movement is all about.
So as you come back up to standing, there's this little call and response thing happening. The person leading, or if you're alone, says that God hears the one who praises him. And the follower's response? It's praise. It's a beautiful little exchange. And once you're fully upright, it's Allahu Akbar, again as you move down for the prostration.
Now, the prostration, or sujud, this is really the peak of physical submission. Just think about it. You're placing the highest part of your body, your forehead, on the ground. It's such a powerful symbol of humility. The source is specific about the sequence too. Knees first, then your hands. You do this once. Sit up for a moment saying Allahu Akbar, and then go right back down for a second, identical prostration. Okay, so after you've completed that second prostration in the second unit of prayer, what's called a rak'ah, you don't stand up. Instead, you move into a special seated position. And this isn't just a pause. It has a very specific purpose, reciting the testimony of faith. And that posture has a name. Iftirash. You sit on your left foot and keep the right one upright. It's another one of those moments where you can see how the physical form is totally intentional, designed to support the spiritual act you're performing.
And what you recite here, the tashahhud, is incredibly powerful. It's a collection of greetings and prayers, really. It starts by directing all worship to God, then it sends peace to the Prophet, and then peace to all of us, the righteous. And it all leads up to that core declaration of faith. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is his servant and messenger.
So what you do in this sitting position depends on where you are in the prayer. If you're in a longer prayer, say 3 or 4 units, this first sitting is quick. You just recite the tashahhud and then you stand up again. But in the final sitting of any prayer, you recite the tashahhud and then you add some more prayers before you finish up.
All right, we're almost at the end. Once you've completed all the units and you're in that final sitting, it's time to conclude the prayer. This involves little time for personal prayer and then a formal closing that officially ends that sacred state.
And the way you formally end the prayer is with the taslim, these final salutations. You turn your head to the right and then to the left, saying a greeting of peace each time. And the intention behind this is just beautiful. You're offering peace to the angels and to the people on either side of you. It creates this wonderful sense of shared community right at the very end.
This is a really cool breakdown. It shows that not every part of the recitation has the same level of, well, importance. You have the fard, which is what's absolutely obligatory. Then you have wajib, which is necessary. If you miss it, you might have to do something to correct it. And then there's sunnah, which is the recommended practice. This whole framework really helps you understand the structure of the prayer and what the priorities are.
So, we've walked through the how of every single step, but understanding the mechanics is one thing. The real journey begins when you connect those movements to the meaning behind the words you're saying, and that really leaves us with something to reflect on.